Nebraska made one of the best hires of the offseason by bringing in Matt Rhule to become the new head coach in Lincoln. Known as a program builder, Rhule rebuilt Temple and Baylor and is looking to do the same thing with this Nebraska program. And the crazy thing is, he may be able to do it quicker than you think. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad that you could join us today as we break down everything you need to know about the Nebraska Cornhuskers heading in this upcoming college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the country. If you want a guaranteed winning record, guaranteed profit, money right back in your pocket for a full year-long subscription for one of the lowest prices in the country, being out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years, well, this is the place for you. We can guarantee you will win with us here at the Gridiron Expert. Go sign up for those picks today. Check out our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame. Content can only be found on patreon.com. And of course, check out our mailing address. Send us some gear to represent your team here at the Gridiron Expert. We finally got our first Big Ten gear from our man Brandon, Comic Dude 45. At least that used to be his name before he changed it on us. But Brandon sent us some Rutgers gear, so we appreciate you, my man. Thank you for getting that out to us. We'd love to get everybody else's team represented for every single video as we expand our nation from coast to coast. So let's take a look at Nebraska, guys. Obviously not a fun tenure under Scott Frost. This is a team, a proud team, a blue blood program that has not been to a bowl game since 2016. That's just unacceptable. Cornhuskers were 19-37 over the course of the last 5 years, and what hurts the most is that Nebraska, to me, was way better than that record. 19-37, 25 of the 37 losses came by one possession, including 8 of their 9 losses in 2021, the best 3-9 team in history, and 5 of their 8 losses last year. Easily could have been a 9-win season for Nebraska in 2022. Instead, they went 4-8. Unbelievable. There were 25 of their 37 losses by one possession over the last 5 years. You take a look at what Matt Rhule inherits. He doesn't inherit a bare cupboard, right? Coaches that come in trying to rebuild a program usually say, oh, it's going to take a while. We got to get our guys in there. It's going to take forever. That's not going to be the case for Matt Rhule. He brings in a lot of talent, both retained from the Scott Frost era and brought in through the transfer portal. Offensively, 7 starters back after averaging just 22.6 points per game, but they got a huge quarterback upgrade in Jeff Sims, transferring in from Georgia Tech, where he threw for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, also rushed for over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns in 23 starts with the Yellow Jackets. That dual threat capability going to be huge for Nebraska, and new offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield, who now becomes the 6th different offensive coordinator in the last 6 years for Nebraska. But on top of bringing in Jeff Sims, they've got Gabe Ervin and Anthony Grant returning at running back. Billy Kemp transfers in at wide receiver from Virginia. That's a huge get that people are not talking nearly enough about. One of the better wide receivers in Virginia football history, transferring in to Nebraska. Arik Gilbert comes in at tight end from Georgia. Marcus Washington is back after being the 2nd or 3rd leading wide receiver for Nebraska last year. And the offensive line has a combined 120 starts. This offense is going to be pretty solid for Nebraska, and people aren't talking nearly enough about it. Defensively, well, they need some work. The Cornhuskers switching to a 3-3-5 scheme, now under new defensive coordinator Tony White. This is a team that gave up 27.6 points per game last year, and the big number to me was giving up 189 rushing yards per game. That's the concern. Nebraska's got to find a way to slow down the run game, and they can do it this year. 4 of their top 5 tacklers return, including their top 3 tacklers, led by Luke Reamer and Miles Farmer. All 4 starters are back in the secondary after giving up just 225 passing yards per game. This is a unit that overall should improve drastically in 2023. Nebraska, guys, the talent is there. The talent's been there. The issue more so to me was coaching and mentally being unable to overcome some obstacles. I think Matt Rhule changes that in year 1. Take a look at their schedule. Not easy. I mean, good Lord, the brand new head coach in his first 2 games are on the road, doesn't have a home game till week 3. That's tough, right? Opens up the season not against a cupcake team, but a Big Ten conference opponent on the road in Minnesota. I do think Nebraska drops to 0-1 to begin the Matt Rhule era. I don't think they're going to be able to win in Minneapolis against Minnesota. They lost to the Golden Gophers by 7 last year, 20-13. Neither team eclipsing 300 yards of offense, but the Minnesota defense, guys, insanely strong. They allowed just 13.8 points per game, which was 4th in the country last year. 6 starters back on that side of the ball. That defense against a Nebraska offense is going to be good, but needs time to figure things out. I don't like their odds there against an elite defense on the road, new era, new schemes, new everything. It doesn't have an opportunity for Nebraska to kind of ease into that. They dropped the game to Minnesota, but they do beat Colorado. I'm not sold on Deion Sanders in Boulder right now. I think he can get there. I think he can make Colorado relevant again, but a lot of transfers coming in for the Buffaloes this year, and I don't think they're going to immediately start piling up the wins. Especially, guys, this is a defense for Colorado that, yes, is loaded with transfers. I get it. But only 3 starters are back from a historically bad defense that gave up over 500 yards of offense last year, including 245 on the ground. I think Nebraska can do whatever they want in this game, and they will succeed. They own the edge to me at every single level. Offense, defense, coaching, even special teams. They own that edge. And I think they beat Colorado in Boulder. Old Big 12 rivalry. It's going to be great. They lost the last 2 games to the Buffaloes back in 2018 and 19, but obviously what happened that far in the past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. It's a new era, and they will win against the Buffaloes, although I do think it will be close. So Nebraska 1-1, they've got to start at least 1-1. I think if they start 0-2, people are going to be getting a little antsy. It's like, really? Here we go again. Another failed coaching hire, another missed opportunity. I think Matt Rule finds a way to at least start 1-1. Then they got Northern Illinois and Louisiana Tech, their first 2 home games. Those are the cupcake teams, right? At least they should be. Those are the games Nebraska should win. I think they do. They win both. So they're 3-1 heading into the rest of conference play. Not a bad start. 1 win away from matching last year's win total. They play Michigan on September 30th. They'll lose to the Wolverines. Lost to them by 3 the last time they played in Lincoln. Lost to them by 31 last year in Ann Arbor. This is arguably Jim Harbaugh's best Michigan team that he has had. Keep in mind, Harbaugh might be suspended for the first 4 games of the season. This will be the first game back for Harbaugh. In theory, a lot of things kind of factoring into this. Michigan, obviously the better team. Obviously now the extra incentive by winning the first game for Harbaugh being back. Nebraska at home they'll be loud, they'll be ready. The game's closer than 31 points, but Michigan wins by double digits. So Nebraska now 3-2, and then they go on the road to Illinois, where I think they dropped that game as well. Illinois doing a phenomenal job, kind of resurging under Brett Bielema, Fighting Illini beating Nebraska 26-9 in Lincoln last year, and now they've got to go to Champaign. I guess the Illinois defense is going to be stingy as always. Yes, they lose some key players in the secondary, but that front 7 is going to be really, really good for the Fighting Illini. Really what this comes down to for Illinois is their offense, right? Luke Altmaier coming in at quarterback from Ole Miss. Losing Chase Brown at running back is a huge loss for them. How quickly can the Fighting Illini figure out their offense, and can they get it going? Well, by this point in the year, by 5-6 weeks into the year, I think Illinois is going to have figured things out. Home field advantage plays a big role in this game. Illinois gets the win. The defense shuts down the Jeff Sims-led offense. And Nebraska is 3-3 heading into the bye week. Not terrible, honestly. Not terrible when you consider 3 of the first 6 games are on the road, and 1 of the games that you play at home is against a college football playoff semifinalist last year and the Big Ten favorite. Not terrible. Coming out of the bye week, the schedule definitely lightens up a little bit. I mean, really, that back half of the schedule is where Nebraska's going to need to do their damage if they want to go to a bowl game. And I think they're about to get really, really close because they're winning their next 2 games. They will cruise past Northwestern, just like I believe many other people will. Yes, I know they fell to the Wildcats last year, 31-28 in Ireland, a game Nebraska should have won. That was coaching that screwed them over in that one. 28-17 lead in the second half. The onside kick took away all momentum that Nebraska had. Northwestern capitalized. But now, with all that's been going on at Northwestern, no longer having Pat Fitzgerald, the big hazing scandal, just kind of rocking that football program, leaving them left for dead, it's not going to be a good year for the Wildcats, not by any means. So Nebraska off the bye cruises past Northwestern, and I think they cruise past Purdue as well. The game is at home. Both teams bring in a new coach, Matt Rule at Nebraska, Ryan Walters at Purdue, coming in as defensive coordinator at Illinois. Boilermakers won't be bad. They're not going to be a bad team. Hudson Card at quarterback, transferring from Texas. Graham Harrell, offensive coordinator. But this Nebraska team nearly took down Purdue, who won the Big Ten West last year. Nearly took them down last year. Only lost by 6. Trey Palmer, a wide receiver, set a program record 237 reception yards in the game, but the Nebraska defense allowed 608 yards of offense. Nebraska's defense should be better. Purdue's offense won't be nearly as good without Jeff Brom and Aiden O'Connell. And I think Nebraska at home, homecoming as well, beats the Boilermakers. They've got 5 wins. Oh my God, they're so close. 5 wins. They've exceeded last year's win total. Matt Rule is going to be looking like a hero. He'll be even more so of one if he can just get one more win in the month of November. 1 win in the month of November, and they're going bowling for the first time since 2016. Well, they're not going to beat Michigan State. They have to wait a little while longer. This is a prime trap game for Nebraska. Michigan State's not going to be all that great. I don't think they're going to be. Obviously losing Peyton Thorne, losing their top 2 wide receivers. The defense still a little shaky, especially against the run. Nebraska's going to put some points on the Spartans, but I think the Spartans can do the same with home field advantage in East Lansing, and obviously a quarterback that's a little bit mobile, Noah Kim, and Jalen Berger, who's not a bad running back at all, and Michigan State additionally having a pretty solid offensive line. I think the Spartans are able to utilize that run game, exploit the Nebraska rushing defense that at this point in the year certainly is improved and has been improving throughout the year, but Michigan State going to be one of the tougher teams they face outside of like Michigan and Illinois and Minnesota. I mean, Northwestern, Purdue should be relatively easy cakewalks. Michigan State going to be kind of the first challenge they've had probably since Illinois back on October 6th, nearly a month, and it's on the road. So you factor in the run game, you factor in home field advantage, you factor in maybe Nebraska maybe overlooking the Spartans a little bit, especially if they're down. I think Michigan State kind of takes advantage of that. They get the win. Nebraska still searching for bowl eligibility, and they get it the very next week. Nebraska is going bowling. I'm calling for it. I'm hesitant calling for it because I've called for it a couple of times in recent years and Scott Frost let me down, but I have a lot of faith in Matt Rule. They will beat Maryland on November 11th. You know, make a wish. Make a wish. It's 11-11. I know what Nebraska fans are wishing for. They're going to beat Maryland. This is Nebraska secondary that I like a lot, right? It's a team that only gave up 225 passing yards per game. The secondary is loaded. We're not talking nearly enough about it. The 3-3-5 certainly going to help with that. And now you look at a Maryland team that wants to throw the ball, Talia Tagovailoa. Why wouldn't you? One of the better quarterbacks within the Big Ten. At home, the secondary steps up big time. Maryland's defense continues to be suspect, especially in the trenches. Offensive line not that great. Defensive line not that great. Nebraska's offensive line plays a pretty big role here. They're able to blow Maryland off the line of scrimmage, open some holes for the running game, gives Jeff Sims the protection he needs. Nebraska's defense steps up in a big way. Matt Rule gets his team pumped, says, look, we've got to win this game because otherwise you might be looking at fighting for bowl eligibility in the season finale, and we don't want that because Wisconsin's going to be tough. They beat Maryland. They get their 6th win. They do drop the game at Wisconsin. The Badgers are going to be unbelievable this year. Luke Fickell coming in, Tanner Mordecai coming in. The Badgers are not going to just be a ground and pound team. They're going to be airing it out some. They've got one of the best running backs in the country in Braylon Allen. Wisconsin's going to be great. The game is in Camp Randall Stadium. It's senior day for Wisconsin. I just don't see Nebraska having enough to win this game, despite only losing to Wisconsin by 1 point last year. So they're 6-5 heading into the finale against Iowa. Either way, they're going bowling. Just beating Iowa would only improve the win total and obviously would continue to give you bragging rights in the Heroes game, in the game against your rival. And I believe that's exactly what Nebraska does. I believe Nebraska, who spoiled Iowa's shot at winning the Big Ten West last year with their 24-17 upset win, does it again. Iowa very well could be in the hunt for another Big Ten West crown, and Nebraska prevents it from happening. It's senior day in Lincoln. It's at home. This team is going to be rocking. The crowd's going to be rocking. Iowa's a good team. Cade McNamara coming in at quarterback. The offense should be a lot better, and the defense, phenomenal. But if this Nebraska team that was pretty bad last year, all things considered, could beat that good of an Iowa team, one that offensively was terrible but still won 8 games, if Nebraska can win on the road last year, with a weaker team than they're going to have this year, I believe they definitely can win at home. No doubt about it. Both teams, you could argue, are improved, but I like Nebraska's home field advantage here. I like it in a big, big way. Last 5 games against the Hawkeyes have been decided by 1 possession. Last year, no exception. We have this year another 1-possession game. But Nebraska comes out ahead, and that's a huge win in year 1 under Matt Rule. They get the job done, and the Cornhuskers and Matt Rule will engineer one of the bigger turnarounds in college football, going 7-5 in 2023, making their first bowl game since 2016, and fans have a reason to be excited in Lincoln again. This is going to be a fun year for Nebraska. 7-5, a great foundation, laying the foundation for Matt Rule, and now the only way to go is up as Nebraska continues to try to climb out of the hole that Scott Frost left them in and become relevant in the Big Ten and the national stage once again. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round, and of course, our mailing address. Send us some big red gear. Get us some Nebraska gear to put up on our background as we expand our GE Nation from coast to coast. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.